Hello student, in this lecture we are going to take the lecture on the synapse. We will try to understand the synapse. In synapse we will study what is the synapse, types of synapse, synaptic transmission and the properties of the synapse. On the synapse you will get the question, either short notes on the what is the synapse and the types, or either short notes on the synaptic transmission, or you will make a separate question on the synaptic properties, or you will get a long question on the whole synapse. So we will try to understand the synapse completely. So we will start with what is the synapse. The synapse, it is the junctional region in between the two neurons, where one neuron ends and another neuron begins. As already we have seen, in a histology of the nervous system, the two neurons are not directly connected to each other. They ends on each other. When one neuron ends and another neuron begins, that area is called as a synapse. So finally the definition of the synapse is what? The synapse is a junctional region in between the two neurons, where one neuron ends and another begins, like this one. I will show you here. So this is one neuron and this is another. So this neuron is ending here and another neuron begins. The neuron that which ends is called as a presynaptic neuron, and the neuron that which begins is called as a postsynaptic neuron. The presynaptic neuron, it ends in the junctional region by its axon terminal, while the postsynaptic neuron, it begins either with the soma or with the dendrite. Either with the soma or the dendrite. Is it clear? So finally synapse is a junctional region where one neuron ends and another neuron begins. Then the types of the synapse. The synapse are of the three types depending upon the structure that which involves into the synapse. These are, the first one type is the axosomatic synapse. Second one is axodendritic synapse, and third one is axonic synapse. Three types of the synapse are there. Here the axosomatic synapse means where the axon terminal of the postsynaptic neuron, it ends on the presynaptic neuron, which ends on the postsynaptic neuron. Means the presynaptic neuron, it ends by its axon terminal and the postsynaptic neuron begins by its body, which is called as the axosomatic synapse. Second one, axodendritic synapse. This is the type of the synapse where the axon terminal of the presynaptic neuron, it ends on the dendrite of the postsynaptic neuron. Do you understood that the axon terminal of presynaptic neuron ends on the dendrite of the postsynaptic neuron, like shown in this figure. This is a type of the axodendritic synapse. Third one, the axonic synapse. Actually, these are not true synapses, are there? Axonic, where the axon of the presynaptic neuron ends on the axon of the postsynaptic neuron, like this one. Like this one. But actually already knows that the axons are what? These are the long process which carries the impulses away from the body of the neuron. It not carries towards the body. So that's why it don't have the receiving capacity. So this type of the axons are, this type of synapses are the false synapses. But these are present with the development. These are the present there. But mainly the synapses are of the functional synapses of these two types: axosomatic and axodendritic. So do you understood? So these are types of the synapse. Now the third point is in here, the anatomy of the synapse, or the, you can say, structure of the synapse. anatomy of synapse, which is also called as the structure of the synapse. The anatomy of the synapse, which has been seen structurally, which is seen under the electronic microscope or ultra microscope, it is seen as in this figure, shown in this figure. This figure shows the axodendritic synapse. Now, how is the synapse gets formed here? In axodendritic synapse, the axon terminal of the presynaptic neuron ends. While it ends at the end, it shows the expansion, which is called as a synaptic knob. It's called synaptic knob. This synaptic knob is covered with a membrane, which is called as a presynaptic membrane. While the postsynaptic neuron here, it begins by the dendrite. It's also covered by a membrane, which is called as a postsynaptic membrane. You will come to here in an axon terminal. If you see axon is expanded, forming the synaptic knob is there. It's as already told you that covered with the presynaptic membrane, and inside the axon terminal you will see that you will see the various structures are to be seen there. The first of all, this structure, which is presynaptic vesicles. These are the vesicles which are present inside the axon terminal. They are abundant near the presynaptic membrane and scanty towards away from the presynaptic membrane. These neurotransmitter substances are concerned with the secretion of neurotransmitter substances. These presynaptic vesicles are concerned with secretion of neurotransmitter substances which require for transmission of impulses from this presynaptic neuron to the postsynaptic neuron. Besides this, you will see another structures are there. Mitochondria, I shown here this one abundant form. Which mitochondria abundant forms, they are more abundant again towards the presynaptic membrane, where it requires more energy to supply the presynaptic vesicles to synthesize neurotransmitter substances. Beside this mitochondria, you will see vacuoles, ribosomes, and also lysosomes are there. Other structures like intracellular structures are there. Then in a postsynaptic neuron here begins with the dendrite, which is covered by the membrane called the postsynaptic membrane, and this dendrite attaches to the soma of the postsynaptic neuron. Now, there is the space in between the axon terminal of the presynaptic neuron and dendrite there, because they are not directly connected to each other. So there is a space in between the presynaptic membrane and postsynaptic membrane. This is called as a synaptic cleft. Its distance is about 200 angstrom. 200 angstrom. It varies from 100 to 500 angstrom, and average distance is 200 angstrom. Then other structures, you will see there are the filamentous structures extending from presynaptic membrane to the postsynaptic membrane, which are called as a intersynaptic filament. Intersynaptic filament, which extend from presynaptic membrane to the postsynaptic membrane. But remember, these structures are not concerned with the transmission of the impulses. They are only anatomic presence. This might be presence to hold these structures togetherly or at the place. They are not at all concerned with the transmission of the impulses. Remember. Then, beyond the postsynaptic membrane, you will see that there is a wave-like structures of the filament, which is called as a postsynaptic wave. Postsynaptic wave, and whole of this synapse, it is covered by a membrane which is called as a neurolemma. This is an anatomy of the synapse. They got. Now we come to another important point: synaptic transmission. Synaptic transmission means what? It's a mechanism of the transmission of the impulses across the synapse. Across the synapse means from presynaptic neuron to the postsynaptic neuron. So we are going to show what? The synaptic transmission. The synaptic transmission means it is transmission of the impulses across the synapse, means from the presynaptic neuron to the postsynaptic neuron. So later we going to understand the mechanism of the synaptic transmission. Mechanism of synaptic transmission. Synaptic transmission. So listen carefully. These are very important. How does the transmission of impulses takes place across the synapse? If you remember action potential, then you can understand this mechanism very well. So try to rememorize this action potential, and I will show you how the transmission takes place. The nerve action potential means that the presynaptic neuron that is carrying the impulses, either it has been generated or it has been received from other neurons are there, which is the pre to it. So this nerve action potential which reaches to the nerve action, this nerve action potential reaches to axon terminal, it reaches to presynaptic membrane, and it causes the excitation of the presynaptic membrane. As soon as excitation of the presynaptic membrane takes place, there is transmission of the calcium ions from the extracellular fluid, that is from the synaptic plate, which enters into the presynaptic membrane or within the presynaptic membrane in the synaptic nerve. This will cause the release of the neurotransmitter substances. This will cause the release of the neurotransmitter substances where? Into the synaptic cleft. Into the synaptic cleft. These neurotransmitter substances are not released abundantly. Why I am saying abundantly? Because even if nerve action doesn't reaches to here, the neurotransmitter substances liberate into the synaptic cleft, but in very less amount, which is not capable of causing the excitation of this membrane. But when this nerve action potential reaches to be here, which causes the excitation of this presynaptic membrane, which result into the calcium entry from the ECF. ECF means extracellular fluid, that is from synaptic cleft into the synaptic nerve or axon terminal of the presynaptic neuron, which causes a release of or increase the release of neurotransmitter substances. These neurotransmitter substances is released into the air and they runs across the synaptic cleft, covering the distance of the 200 angstrom or 100 to 500 angstroms, and they reaches to postsynaptic membrane. They attaches there and they forms here receptor complex. Receptor complex that which receives all these neurotransmitter substances and they gather here, forming the complex, and they produces EPSP. They produces the EPSP. It means excitatory post synaptic potential. When it reaches to high threshold, it causes excitation of the post-synaptic membrane, and when excitation of post-synaptic membrane takes place, it causes the result into depolarization of this membrane. When this membrane depolarizes, then as we have seen in action potential, the sodium conduction, as soon as action takes place, the calcium from this presynaptic membrane dislodges and the proton pores gets open and sodium entry from outside to inside takes place. From extracellular fluid to the inside takes place. This is called as a sodium conduction or called as a stage of depolarization. This sodium conduction continues that till this membrane potential reaches to plus 35 microvolt, and it causes positivity inside and negativity outside. When this membrane potential reaches to 35, the potassium start to come from inside to the outside, means from intracellular fluid to the extracellular fluid, causing the positive outside. This is called as, and it establishing the polarity of the membrane, and this stage is called the stage of repolarization. And by this nerve potential, it enters into postsynaptic neuron. Postsynaptic neuron, and then after when this passes, it propagates to the body or soma of the postsynaptic neuron, and this postsynaptic neuron, it may transmit in the another neuron which is post to this one. Here, after transmission of the impulses, what happens? For a few milliseconds, there is no exchange of any ions to the either side. That is, neither sodium goes from outside to inside, or nor the potassium comes from inside to outside. This is called the stage of negative after potential. Then after this few milliseconds, what happens? The sodium pump outside. Sodium pump outside to the extracellular fluid by the sodium pump mechanism, as we have seen in action potential. And then the potassium, it passes from outside to inside there, which bring it into the polarized state. Here the postsynaptic membrane becomes the polarized. As impulses get transmitted, propagated into the postsynaptic neuron, so whatever residual amount of the neurotransmitter substances that will be neutralized by an enzyme called as acetylcholine esterase. Acetylcholine esterase. Why? Because if this residual amount of the neurotransmitter will be remain there, and as I already told you that some amount of the neurotransmitter substance releases slowly, even the nerve action potential doesn't comes. So it will form the sufficient amount of the neurotransmitter may cause the excitation. So there should not be the further excitation by same one neurotransmitter unless until the another nerve action potential doesn't come, or other impulse doesn't comes. Because here nerve action potential is nothing but the impulse. It's an impulse. Then this inhibition of this membrane takes place. The inhibition of the presynaptic membrane. As soon as this impulse is propagated, sufficient amount of the neurotransmitter gets released there, this will be inhibited and preventing the further release of the neurotransmitter substances. In this way, the whole neurotransmitter substance will be neutralized in the synaptic cleft, which prevent the further excitation. So, unless until the another impulse doesn't comes. And this is called as a synaptic transmission. It happens every time when the impulse comes. So they understood? So this is and the mechanism of the synaptic. I will revise in short, where nerve action potential which reaches the axon terminal, it reaches to where the presynaptic membrane, causes excitation of presynaptic membrane, which result into the entry of calcium ions from ECF, extracellular fluid, into the synaptic nerve, which causes the release of the neurotransmitter substance from the presynaptic vesicles. These substances runs across or passes across synaptic cleft, reaches the postsynaptic membrane, forming the receptor complex, causing the excitation of this postsynaptic membrane, producing the EPSP. When this is a high threshold, it is called depolarization of membrane. With the depolarization of membrane, there is a release of the calcium into extracellular fluid, and the sodium conduction from outside to inside takes place. Up to that, till the membrane potential reaches to plus 35 millivolt, and then potassium from inside to outside comes. So conduction of the sodium from outside to inside is called as a depolarization, and when potassium comes from inside to outside, it is called the repolarization stage. Then after this, for few milliseconds, no ions will be passes across the postsynaptic membrane, neither sodium nor potassium. It's called the stage of negative Occult potential. And after few milliseconds, sodium pumped outside from the intracellular fluid, extracellular fluid, and potassium from extracellular to the intracellular fluid. This is called the stage of positive Occult potential, and in this way, the no action potential will be transmitted into the or propagated into the postsynaptic neuron in the dendrite, where it carries to the soma or body of the postsynaptic neuron. So this is a mechanism of the transmission of the synapse. Then synapse. We'll see the properties in a detail. Now, the several properties. While writing the examination, you should be write the synapse has following property, or following are the properties of synapse. Following are the properties of synapse. These are, one is, first one, synaptic response. Second, law of forward direction. Third, synaptic delay. Synaptic delay. Fourth, synaptic, before that it is summation. Summation. Synaptic fatigue. Then law of convergence and divergence. 7, synaptic block. Synaptic block. So we will see these properties one by one. The first one, synaptic response. What do I synaptic response? The synaptic response means that there is no relation in between the receiving the impulses and the discharging the impulses in the synapse. The synapse, one neuron will form the synapses with the number of the neurons, and they distribute the various impulses through the. But when they discharge these impulses as whole. Means which impulse has to be forward or which impulse should not be forward. So synapse not only acts as a transmission junctional area, but it also acts as a relay station as well as the integrator. Even which impulse has to pass first and which has not to pass. So according to that, the synapse will be a response, and that is called as synaptic response. Do you understand? There is no relation in between the receiving and the discharging the impulses. Means synapses receive the impulses, but which impulse has to forward or which has not to be forward, or which has to forward first and which has to forward next, it will be decided by the synapse. Is called the synaptic response. Remember. Second one, law of forward direction. Law of forward direction is what? The synapse carries impulses only in one direction. Always forward. Always forward. Not in the backward. Always forward. And it is particularly for the chemical transmission. In electrical transmission, it may not be like this. It can transmit in both directions. But in the mammals, mainly there is a chemical transmission of the impulses. So that's why we are considering the chemical transmission of impulse. Impulse can be electrically also transmitted there. But in mammals, this have not important. So we have important which one? Chemical transmission. So the impulses will be carried in a forward direction. That from the pre-synaptic neuron to the post-synaptic neuron always. Then it may be in the sensory fiber or in afferent fibers it will carry from periphery to center only, while in the efferent fibers or in motor fibers it will carry from center to periphery only. Motor fibers or efferent fiber never carries from periphery to center, or sensory fiber never carries from center to periphery. Do I remember? Don't get confusion. Law of forward direction means the impulses are transmitted across the synapse in only one direction, and that's in the forward direction from presynaptic neuron to the postsynaptic neuron. That is called as law of forward direction. Then is synaptic delay. What is the synaptic delay? So as you have been seeing this, it's a transmission of impulses from the presynaptic neuron to the postsynaptic neuron. But it takes some time. It takes some time. It doesn't go immediately. It takes that time. And that time is called as synaptic delay. Actually, synaptic delay means what? The synaptic delay is the sum total of the synaptic latency and the depolarization of the postsynaptic membrane. Now, what do I synaptic latency? Synaptic latency means the time from release of the impulses from the presynaptic membrane and reaching to the postsynaptic membrane and initiating the depolarization. We understood? Synaptic latency, it is time taken for what? The release of the impulses from the presynaptic membrane to reach the postsynaptic membrane and initiation of the depolarization. This is the synaptic latency. And after that, the time taken for depolarization membrane. So that's why synaptic delay is equal to synaptic latency plus time taken for depolarization of membrane. Depolarization of postsynaptic membrane. Do you understand synaptic delay? In short, you can say the time taken for the release of the impulses from presynaptic membrane and transmission into this one. But actually, the synaptic delay means synaptic latency plus time taken for depolarization. And synaptic latency means what? The time from the release of impulses to reach the postsynaptic membrane plus initiation of depolarization. This total period is called as a synaptic latency, and duration of this synaptic delay is less than, in chemical synapses, it is less than 0.5 millisecond. While in electrical synapses, it is even less than this one. Do you understood? Then the summation. Summation, as already you have been seen in the properties of the nerve fibers also. Summation means what? As number of the impulses may come into the synapses. As one neuron forms the synapse, the number of the neurons are there. Number of impulses comes are there. Some impulses are the strong, some impulses are the weak. Weak means what? The impulses which are not capable of the causing the EPSP. To them we say sub-minimal stimulus. This comes there, but this is not capable of producing the EPSP. But more than one impulses, which one? Such a weak impulses comes, and if they stimulate togetherly the postsynaptic membrane, then postsynaptic membrane it will undergo the depolarization because they are combinedly capable of producing EPSP. क्योंकि EPSP प्रोड्यूस करने के लिए हाई थ्रेशोल्ड प्रोड्यूस होना बहुत जरूरी है, और हाई थ्रेशोल्ड प्रोड्यूस करने के लिए स्टिमुलस एडिक्वेट होना बहुत जरूरी है. अगर वीक स्टिमुलस होता है, इफ दिस वीक स्टिमुलस जिसको हम सब मिनिमल स्टिमुलस बोल रहे हैं, दिस इज नॉट कैपेबल ऑफ प्रोड्यूसिंग EPSP. लेकिन एक से ज्यादा अगर इंपल्सेस आते हैं, सो दे विल कैपेबल ऑफ प्रोड्यूसिंग EPSP. That is called, with this combinedly producing EPSP causing the excitation of the membrane, then it is called as a summation action. This summation may be either spatial, summation may be spatial or temporal. Spatial summation means what? When two subminimal stimuli applied simultaneously but at to the different point. Simultaneously at the different point. इसका मतलब कि दो सबमिनिमल स्टिमुले एक साथ अलग अलग जगह पे एक साथ अगर अप्लाई करते हैं तब ईपीएसपी प्रोड्यूस होता है. That is called the spatial summation. Temporal summation is when the two weak stimulus has been applied one after another at the same point. Means here, यहाँ पे पहले एक अप्लाई किए, उसके बाद वही जगह पे दूसरा अप्लाई करें. So then they are capable of producing the high threshold and producing EPSP, and the impulse will be transmitted. Otherwise, a single weak stimulus is not capable of the transmission of the impulses because it is failure. It fails to produce the EPSP. Then coming to the next property, the synaptic fatigue. Synaptic fatigue. As you have been seen, the nerve fiber never undergo the fatigue, but in nervous system, the fatigue will be at the synapse. So, what do I synaptic fatigue? If repeated and persistent continuous stimulus is applied, then the synapse will not be respond to the another stimulus. Why? Because fatigue will occurs and there is no transmission takes place. No transmission takes place from the presynaptic neuron to the postsynaptic neuron. Why? Because if repeatedly and continuously repeated stimulus or impulses coming constantly, continuously, it will cause the release of the substances, neurotransmitter substance continuously. And this vesicle doesn't get time to synthesize or restore the neurotransmitter substances, and there will be the lack of neurotransmitter substances. When there is a lack of neurotransmitter substances are there, which is not adequately produced there, there is no carrying of the impulses from. Even though no action to potential comes here, it is not carried towards the postsynaptic neuron. Then this condition is called synaptic fatigue. We understood? So this neurotransmitter, this presynaptic vesicles, this require the time to restore the neurotransmitter substance, to synthesize the neurotransmitter substances. So this is the synaptic fatigue. Then law of convergence and divergence. The law of convergence and divergence means what? As already I have told you, कि one neuron ends on the several neuron, or one neuron forms the synapses with the several neuron, and that it may presynaptic neuron may ends on the number of the neuron, and postsynaptic neuron may be begins from the various neurons like this one. And this postsynaptic neuron. Like this one, means one neuron ends on the number of neurons, and this begins. So here what happens? This neuron will be transmit impulses like this one in number of the number of neurons to the number of synapses. This is called as a divergence. divergence. And this neuron, it receives the impulses from the various neuron and comes to across the soma of this one. So it is called the convergence. The law of convergence and the law of divergence. Do you understood? Again I will repeat that. Law of convergence and divergence means what? The convergence is that. One is law of divergence, where the impulses from one neuron goes to the number of neurons. It's called divergence. Means it sends the impulse into the number of neurons. While this receives the impulse from the number of neurons and carries towards his body. It's called the convergence. So law of divergence and the law of convergence. That's in with the synapse there. Then lastly, the synaptic block. The synaptic block means this continuous discharge of the neurotransmitter substances which causes continuous excitation of postsynaptic membrane. The first of all, synaptic block means the prevention of the inhibition of the presynaptic membrane. I already told you that when the impulses get transmitted to postsynaptic neuron, this inhibition of the presynaptic membrane. But in some cases, there is no inhibition of the presynaptic membranes, and in such condition, the neurotransmitter substances from the presynaptic vesicles will be continuously released in the large amount, and that will reaches to the postsynaptic membrane, causes the excitation of this membrane. It occurs in conditions in case of the tetanus. So that's why tetanus is continuous contractions of the muscles are there, because once impulses start to discharge, they are continuously discharging. There is no inhibition of this membrane. It also occurs in case of the strychnine poisoning. Strychnine poisoning. Strychnine also inhibits or prevents inhibition of this presynaptic membrane and allows these substances, neurotransmitters, continuously release, and also it doesn't allow this acetylcholinesterase to neutralize the neurotransmitter substances. So that's why residual element is there and continuous discharge is there. That will cause excitation of the membrane, which is called as a synaptic block. So these are the properties of the synapse. The first one property is synaptic response. First one property we have seen synaptic response. Second property we have been seen the law of forward direction. Third property we have been seen synaptic delay. Fourth property we have been seen summation. Then another property we have been seen the synaptic fatigue. Then law of divergence and the convergence and the synaptic block. So this is all about the synapse. We have been seen what is the synapse. We have been seen the anatomy of the synapse. We have been seen synaptic transmission, the property of the synapse. If you have any difficulty, you can contact on the numbers given to you to contact us.